I'm glad to be the vessel for people that would have never tried it before or didn't feel comfortable in a studio because they didn't see anyone that looked like them or it was just a different like vibe. I'm glad to be that vessel. I'm glad to be the chosen person, one of the many chosen people of color to be able to bring sound and sound healing to others. 100%.
Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode, we will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equity, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders. Black Business Matters podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer marketing and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. I'm Larvetta Lofton, your host and founder of the L3 Agency. Hey there! Welcome to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. I am your host, Larvetta Lofton, and I am when I said head over heels, I am head over heels about our next guest. And I know I say that every week. You all hear that from me every time I come on, but I do. I feel when every time I have a guest, we record on Fridays. And when I have those not so good days, I get to have a conversation with an amazing business owner and guest of the show. And so we get to do that. And just like today, real talk, we got to talk before we bring her up. And it's just amazing how in conversations and discussions and relationships, you're able to really understand why you meet someone. And so I met Mecca years ago, and that is our next guest, and how she has a meditation studio. But I want to just go back to, we've been talking about relationships this entire season and the importance of relationships, whether that is relationships from a business standpoint, personal, nature, we've had it all. And this one is about sound. And I remember in our business with our agency, we produced some video for our client Comet. And the woman said, I cannot live without my sound. And so I can hear her ringing because sound was so important for her as a community activist in the work that she was doing in Chicago. And so here we are bringing this amazing, and I say amazing because I've had the pleasure of knowing her for probably over 10 years now. And she is an elevated sound meditation practitioner, and she has a meditation studio. And the name of her studio is Elevated Meditation Studio. It's in the heart of Chicago. And what she does is she weaves her background in event production with modern ancient wellness practices, all in the service of others. So I am excited to introduce you all to Mecca Perry, the founder, the owner of Elevated Meditation Studio. Welcome to the show, Mecca.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So we've been talking and before we got on. And so I had a moment, I was like, Mecca, where did we meet? Because, this whole season is all about relationships. And I was like,
this is perfect, actually.
I know, right? When did we meet? Mecca?
So you said that we've been knowing each other like maybe a little over 10 years, but I feel like I'll say this. I don't know if you remember this, but we've met before I actually moved to Chicago.
You're right. You did say, that's right. That's right, Mecca. That's right.
Before 2002, actually. So we met in Florida, in Orlando, Florida.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did, Mecca. I do remember. It was crazy because my girlfriend was living in Orlando at the time. And that was well over 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, it was like random. I feel like me and a friend, we were there like just kind of like hanging out. I don't know if we were at Universal Studios or
yes, we were at Universal. You're absolutely right. We were
just like hanging out. You had a fashion show, or you were like running a fashion show. I can't, those details are foggy, but I knew you had a fashion show, and something happened where we were going to this event, and I don't know if someone that was working with you may have not shown up, or you didn't have enough people to help get the models ready.
Yes.
I don't know how I was back there, Larvetta. To this day, I was even talking to my friend Crystal, like, how did I get back there? Like,
I don't even remember. That's what's crazy, Mac. And you're just that shining star. So let's be real. You were just like, okay, all right, well, what do you need us to do? And I'm like,
right.
yes.
Crystal modeled, I helped you in the back. And I was like, this was fun. I had no clue what we was doing, but like it went off without a hitch. And that's where like our relationship began. I didn't even live in Chicago. I remember moving. And then at that point, it was like, thank you. I thought this girl was super dope. I was still figuring out, like, I think I might have been in my second or third year of college, still figuring out what I wanted to do. And I feel like you had a PR and marketing company. Like,
Yes.
you were doing PR and marketing for a brand. And I was like, ooh, I want to do that. That's what I'm on. And so I remember moving to Chicago to go to work on my integrated marketing communications master's program. And I didn't know anybody in Chicago. I had a cousin here, but actually didn't live here. So I remember texting you like, hey, I'm going to be in Chicago. Want to meet for lunch, blah, blah, blah. You was like, hey, I'm not there, but I do have a friend that you might want to know. And you introduced me to, oh God, Nodisha. I think
I
it's
was going to say it was Nadisha. Yeah.
yes.
Uh-huh. Yes.
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 You introduced
Yes.
me to her and then we became friends. And I still hadn't seen you. I don't even know. Did you not live here or were you like out of town? I don't know if you.
So I was I think Mecca, I was living in New York at the time, Mecca.
Yes, yes, that's exactly right. Because Don was living in yes, absolutely. You was living in New York. You was like, I don't live there anymore, but I have a friend you should meet. You'll like her. I connected with her and we became fast friends. And this was all off of this relationship that started in Florida. Mind you, you knew me for that point in time that you was there. But I then became friends with someone that you like recommended, and I still hadn't seen you. I probably didn't see you until I don't know years later when you came back to Chicago.
I think that's right, Mecca, because you got it, girl. Ooh, you got it. And you just reminded me because Nadisha was like my connect when I was living in New York because she was doing a lot of the work for us in Chicago. And so I loved her and she was just rocking it. And you were absolutely right. And then I think we might have run into you. I feel like you had something, Mecca, that I came to a birthday party or
It might
something.
have been I might have been a birthday party, but I also when I got to Chicago, I definitely started working in PR. I started working like PR and marketing, like on a lot of like champagne and wine and brands, like in clubs. So I was doing that for like a very short amount of time. And then I'm trying to figure out do you remember the Liquid Kitty?
I do remember Liquid Kitty. Yes.
I feel like there was a party there
And I
that
think
we
you're probably,
connected.
'cause I know we were at a party the last time we saw each other. I mean, not the last time, but we do see each other out. But that was our initial, and I think it was at a Liquid Kitty. I do think it was there at one of their parties there. And then from there, though, Mecca, I still also continue to watch you grow in every area that you were growing in. I was like, look at Mecca. I was like, she done made Chicago like her thing. So that was the other part. I was like, oh, she's not leaving. This is going to be. So that's when I was like, oh, she really does love Chicago. You know how people move here and then you don't know if it's going to work out or whatever. So how long have you been here, Mecca?
That's a whole relationship in itself. It's a love-hate relationship. I have been in Chicago. I moved here in '02, and then I left in 2018 to go to DC, and then I came back here in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is. Chicago has it's funny you say that, Mecca, because I feel the same way about New York. New York has this love, hate relationship. I have the same way with New York. Like I want to go back. And then I'm like, I feel like it's like the ex-boyfriend that you're just like, I can't
Mm,
stand
yes.
him, but I'll still say hello to him. I'll
Yeah.
still, I'll still show up to his birthday parties, but I really, to be honest with you, don't have to deal with it. I feel like that's how New York is for me. So I totally get it when you say Chicago is that way. And I realized when you said you were here in 2002, it's been a whole relationship. So I really love that we are talking about that because that's all we've been talking about is relationships are our currency. And full circle, here we are today together. You are our guest and how our relationship developed and now you are the guest and like walk me through how sound meditation became your thing, like the way that you were able to move in spaces that ultimately to me took a lot of courage. And so I want to hear how you got, because I think this is phenomenal that you're in this space. And I want to hear how you got there.
Thank you. And thank you for saying that. That actually is a really good point. The courage. Meditation has been a practice of mine personally that I've had for many years, a little over 10 years. And that meditation looked like mindful meditation. It looked like walking meditation, cooking meditation, movement, TM, a variety of ways to really create that space for myself, in myself. And then I would say probably in around 2016, 2017, I was introduced to sound meditation and sound, using it as pure just meditating. So it was a gong wash. And then from a gong wash, a Tibetan bowl, and then crystal bowls. And so I just purchased a few instruments years ago just for my own like practice, that I wanted to deepen my own meditation practice. This point, let's say 2019, I was in DC, and I would always go to a sound meditation studio. There was all kind of studios in DC that allowed you to just go to like a gong wash or a crystal bowl. And so from there, I wanted to learn more of the gong. I'm kind of like fast forwarding, just kind of give you like the clean version. So really understanding the gong and understanding crystal bowls and the notes and how they affect various parts of your body. And once I kind of mastered that for my own self around the end of 2019, now mind you, I went to DC because I thought I wanted to own a bed and breakfast. So I wanted to work at a bed and breakfast and simulate ownership, right? I'm putting that in there because once I realized I did not want to open up a B&B, I wanted to open up a wellness center. So it went from opening up a wellness center to adding this sound component to it. Once 2020 hit, I didn't think it would be a good idea to try to buy property for this wellness center. So I moved back to Chicago because I was living in DC, and I still wanted to offer what I've been doing. So I found some space like near my neighborhood and just opened up a sound meditation studio. So I just wanted to be able to offer the meditation with the sound. Typically, this service is offered after a yoga class or part of a Reiki. It's always like an add on, but I always wanted it as a whole service. That's how the meditation studio came about. Me wanting to have my own wellness center, but since that wasn't going to happen immediately, it wasn't like a no, but it's just not right now. So it wasn't going to happen immediately. So I was like, what's something I can do right now that'll still keep that like fire going in me? So outside of me just practicing sound meditations, I was like giving them in my house, which became weird. I said, let me get a separate space where I can actually conduct these sound meditations and offer it to a larger group of people. That's like the short, long version of how I opened up this sound meditation studio.
So I love the story. Once I really love the fact that you were like, this is what I have been doing for 10 years. And I wanted to introduce it to people, right?
As
And
it
I
is,
think,
right.
and
Yeah.
I do think, Mecca, sometimes we think the thing that we love, other people wouldn't love it either. We don't think that other people would love it. And maybe you were assigned, and I think you were, to introduce it to Black culture, right? Because it is definitely something that has been around for what? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. It's one of the oldest healing modalities out there. Like the gong is the oldest first instrument out there that I know of. Now, someone may do some research and try to rebuttal that, but
okay.
the
Well,
bottom
as we
line,
know right now, it's the oldest. And so,
yeah, it's the oldest. Our voice starts first, right? We just said that our own voice is our first healing mechanism. From there, then it goes to the instruments. So, yes, it's been a practice of mine for a while. And it's almost, oh, you're going into a new industry. I'm going into a new industry as a business, but not as a embodied the practice. The ideal originally was to like just really be able to make it more accessible. Because you hear a lot of people now that you're like watching TV, so many people are talking about, oh, I went to a sound bath or I did this. And I'm like, well, that's good because now people are going to start looking for it. Because mind you, when I opened up this meditation studio, it wasn't like I had this slew of clients actually. Like I probably would be if someone's like, what's the right way to open up a business and what's the wrong way? My picture might be under the wrong way because it's not like I had a slew of clientele. I just figured they would come. And thank God they have. So it's one of those things that I'm glad to be the vessel for people that would have never tried it before or didn't feel comfortable in a studio because they didn't see anyone that looked like them or it was just a different like vibe. I'm glad to be that vessel. I'm glad to be the chosen person, one of the many chosen people of color to be able to bring sound and sound healing to others. 100%.
Mecca, I'm so glad that you said that you were chosen as a vessel because sometimes I truly believe God says you are meant to plant the seed, and sometimes you're the person to plant the seed and actually water it. And we don't look at it like that. Sometimes we are just destined to plant it and it just grows on its own. And sometimes we're meant to plant it and water it and introduce it to others. And there is purpose in it. And so I commend you for it because I do believe that sound meditation, just real talk for me, the reason why I wanted you to be on this show during this season was because I feel like we don't have this relationship to sound is so important to how we show up in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that we
Absolutely.
don't, I think for me, I think COVID taught me a little bit more of quieting the noise that was stopping me or serving as a blockage for me. And now being still and being quiet and having just like the sound of birds really makes me happy. But at some point, Mecca, I never heard the birds, never paid attention. And so I think that idea of this sound. So I want to go back just a little bit because I don't know that everybody knows it. And we know this on this podcast. The gong, give people some context on what that is. Like the gong. I know what it is, but I want you to help people that don't know about sound what that gong is. I mean, I know what it is, but I would like for you to share what that sound is.
Yeah. Okay. So the gong for it's like a percussion instrument. So it's a circular metal like disc and it comes in so many different facets. It can be flattened, it can have curvatures, it can have a design inside, it can be attuned to a certain planet, it can be attuned to a certain frequency, it can be attuned to a certain chakra energy on your body. It's like one of the traditional instruments used like in China, Indonesia, a lot of South Pacific Asian cultures. And it's part of Western musical culture since like the 1700s. And with the gong, it sounds like between the deep overtones and like the various mallets that you use, you can create a release in the body. So with the gong, the best way that I always describe it is almost like a painkiller, Tylenol. It's not that the gong knows exactly what the issue is, and the issue could be a frustration, a mental blockage, a spiritual blockage, something going on with you. It could be a physical pain element. Once the gong is being played and the body is receiving it, it literally can go into your body and heal. It can help release. So sometimes when people hear the gong, they feel like, oh, that sounded a little loud or that was too powerful. And after, 5, 10, 15 minutes, then it becomes soothing. Then you start releasing. And that releasing looks so different on everybody. It could be a cry, it could be an urge to use the bathroom, it could be a laugh, it could be a tear. It just really depends. But the gong, in my opinion, and the way I see it, is always like a painkiller or a pain reliever. It really kind of goes in and assess, okay, where's the issue? Where can we help? And then help release that.
You just literally, I'm sitting here and I'm like, oh my gosh, Mecca just did such a great job. That's why you're the perfect person to lead this business because it really helps people to get in their mind what that is and how it works. So you also talked about the sound bath. Tell me about this because I know people be like, now, do I sit in a bath?
Right.
I'm asking the questions.
I get that a lot. It's funny because when I started in DC, whenever I would date somebody, I would always be like, you want to go to a gong wash or a sound bath? And a guy would be like, okay, like they be game because they think that you're about to get naked and get in the water. But it's not that. All clothes are still on. So a sound bath, gong wash, the water is used. This terminology of use of a body of water is always used because water is a transporter, right? And it's a portal. With a sound bath, you're basically immersing yourself in sound. You're letting the sound wash over you. The biggest thing I always tell clients is like, all you have to do is lie and receive the sound. Like your body doesn't have to move. All you have to do is receive the sound. Our thoughts are going to always come and go, and try not to create an action behind it, but just allowing your body to let all the sounds wash over you and do what it needs to do. If we look at it, the reason why we say water or wash is because those elements is a transporter. It transports, it leads you into. And then also water is a portal. So we're allowing this sound to like work through us, right? It's kind of like, oh, this is a good analogy. It's almost like we have water and sometimes people are like, oh, I don't like to drink water all the time. So they may put a lemon in their water and they can drink the water better. Or they're going to put like a Crystal Light or some type of mixer in there. They're still drinking water, but they're adding something in it to make it more palatable. So with sound, we're using sound as a way to make a healing in your body, and the water is like leading it into. I don't know if that was a good analogy for you, but
No, I think it is. I mean, I drink a lot of water with lemon. So, of course, I understood that and making water a little bit more interesting. And so I think, I think you did an excellent job. And so, Mecca, so when you think about like thought leaders, people that are doing impact work, people that are entrepreneurs, and I'm talking to people that are going out and making a difference, how do you see this helping, or let me say this, supporting them in their impact work as an entrepreneur, as an impact leader, as a professional?
this summer I was able to work with a lot of corporations to work with like either in their leadership conferences or retreats. And it's one of those things that allow a lot of athletes already use several modalities to help them focus. So with sound meditation specifically, it allows one to gain clarity. It allows you to make decisions better. It allows you to create your own clean ecosystem. When I say ecosystem, I mean like your own like persona. So if you have a very solid foundation within yourself, you'll always live from your best self. Meaning like when you have a very solid foundation, there's not a whole lot that you're going to be like reactive to. You can be more proactive, and it also teaches you how to react to things that you may not agree with. Sound will help bring clarity to you. It also helps prevent burnout in work and life. It also helps you improve like your self mastery over your mind and over your emotions. It allows the body to really repair itself naturally. And all of these like benefits help leaders in corporate America to like always show up as their best self. So imagine this also being used by people that are not in necessarily corporate America, but even like with entrepreneurs, like we go through so many of like, can we make the right decision? I got so many things to do, so I'm not clear on X, Y, and Z. Or I'm always looking for the next like coaching program or the next X, Y, and Z because I feel like I'm not settled enough or I'm not good enough to do a thing. So this brings you clarity. It brings you like solid foundation so you can not feel like you're showing up as an imposter. There's so many different like benefits that come from sound meditation and just really coming home to yourself with meditation, period. I don't know, that would be like a whole day of then it leads to this, then it leads to that. So I feel like that's the easiest breakdown of just like clarity, solid foundation, really being like a master over your mind and your emotions, preventing burnout, and really bringing confidence to yourself as well.
And Mecca, let me say this because you hear it's therapy, it's coaching. All of these things have been around forever, but now it's a thing. And I think when I think about the space of Black culture and relationships, the reason why I thought it was important is that the world doesn't see in our culture with us taking care of ourselves. We don't see that. We are been seen to take care of others as our relationship. Oh, yeah, I'm caring for, my kids or my parents or whatever. But we haven't seen it from the standpoint of therapy, sound meditation. And so how do we build this relationship with ourselves? And I love that you brought up imposter syndrome, but we're using coaching. And I love that you said, like, we're figuring out what's the next coaching program when ultimately it's really being still, right? And gaining clarity around that and understanding. And that's one of the reasons why, because when I thought about relationships, Meg, I was so intentional with we need all facets of relationships. And I just said, I was like, oh, it would be great if we had sound and nature and personal. And we've got all these coaches, but what about letting people understand that Black businesses need all of this and really helping them understand culture? This is probably one of my dreams to have you on the show because I wanted to have relationships and everything in between. We don't see
Absolutely.
all of that. We see the outward, whether that's relationship with your mom, your dad, your kids, your loved one, but your job. But what about yourself? And so we have that opportunity. And so I am super excited that you're on and really talking about this relationship to sound and the importance of it. And so that's part of the reason why I'm going to set up to ask you in that space of what you're doing for corporations and helping them understand as you being a practitioner of sound. Why do you think Black businesses matter in this space that you're in?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. I feel like it's two-part. The service that's being provided and then also being a Black business, period. So when I say it's important being a service that is provided, like we know that Black America have been in the entrepreneurial world and been able to create commerce for themselves generationally, right? We know that. We've seen the facts, we've seen it in science, we've seen it. But we know that, and also it's one of those things like work hard, play hard, work hard. But like when you are like coming home to yourself, like you just said, like really having that relationship with yourself, it shows up 100% in your business. So you know the difference between when someone has a really great relationship with themselves, how it's spoke and distributed through their business, how it's in customer service, the email that you receive, the actual service that's being brought, the mailer that's going out, the product that's being served. Like when you have this balanced relationship with yourself and others, it 100%, in my opinion, shows up in the business of whatever the business is. You're being a service, a coach, a product base. So that's one part of it. And then for me, being in the sound meditation wellness industry, yes, Black people have been in that industry, but it's always been like, oh, that's the Black yoga instructor. That's the Black Reiki instructor. With sound healing, I intentionally looked for quite a few different people of color that were in sound, Black women specifically, because this was definitely, from my eyes, from what I saw on a regular basis, was more white male dominated. Like you would see more white males being sound healers, and they were like, or sound facilitators, and it was very like broy, which they have their entire community for that. But then what if I really love sound and I really want this same feeling, but I don't feel comfortable with that facilitator? So to be able to like be in this space and offer that in my own authentic self felt really good. But it also is one of those things like I have to talk my own self off the ledge because I am still in an industry that shouldn't be, but it is more white led. And I say that in a sense, it shouldn't be, because some of these practices, or all of these practices that we're working on and that we practice, all come from a root of the indigenous culture, being it Africa, being it like Asia. These modalities that are being used come from us. But when we come into the industry, it's almost, oh, that's, we love this Black wellness person, but we've been here. And
And Mecca, I just want to say this when you say, girl, I promise you I'm over here, because oftentimes it's so many industries where we've had people say, you know what, it's dominated by white men. Like that becomes the thing. And we've had guests to say, how do you talk yourself off the ledge? So I do want to ask you, what do you do to not say, you know what, I can't do this? Because when this space of D&I, right, we talk to these practitioners in this space in the sense of belonging. What do you do in that space when it is a marginalized segment? And how can you show up for your best self when there's not necessarily a community that looks like you in this space?
I would say the first thing is this is not like me being like trying to sell, but with that whole being solid within yourself, having that really homegrown groundedness in yourself has been like the number one piece. So having my own practice, knowing who I am, has been the number one piece. The second is that I would even say social media. It's funny because we now have the ability of seeing the world as opposed to just our block. So we can now see other people that might be doing what we're doing or on the verge of what we're doing that we would have never seen before. Like for me to be able to see now, oh, there's a community of sound healers in San Diego or in Alaska or in Jamaica, or like, hey, we don't have sound healing here in Mecca, but we love you over here in Saudi Arabia, whatever. And so now to be able to see that feels good, because when you don't see it, because it's just not available in your area and it's not promoted in your area, it does feel like you like on this island by yourself. So I would say the biggest things is just being grounded in myself. And being grounded in myself means I am in practice. I'm showing presence with myself. That goes with meditation. That just means me doing things that I joyfully love. And joyfully love could mean taking a nap. It could mean eating a piece of cake. It could mean going for a run. It could mean dancing, meditating, sound, what all the things that bring me joy, continue doing that so I can build my own foundation. And then also just seeking. I don't know. I'm a big seeker. I'm always looking for it. If I can't find it, I'm sure either I'm going to find it or I'm going to make it up. I'll create it. But being able to seek that, what you're looking for is the biggest thing. And not to say that like, I'm saying this as a way of, yes, this has been one of those industries that I've seen mostly white males in. That doesn't mean like I can't enter. That just means I haven't seen it yet, or I see very few, so I'm going to enter. Or even if it is flooded with African Americans or people of color, I don't care. I'm still going to, no one is me, so I'm going to keep going. So I think the biggest things for me have been to just ground myself, seek it out, and just know what I know. I move through fear. I literally, even if I'm afraid or if I'm uncertain or, that imposter shows up, I'm going to still move through that as opposed to like standing still. It's almost like someone crying and resisting a thing, but still moving through it because they know at the other end of that, they've won. I think that's the biggest way that I kind of work through things that become difficult, just being grounded, just really being confident in what I bring to the table, and even just moving in a direction of the goal that I want, even when I'm absolutely afraid, even when I'm absolutely uncertain.
And we do ask that question, why do Black businesses matter? And everyone gives us such a different answer. And I think it's so important because the reason why we do that is because the mere fact is we haven't heard different ways of people delivering it, because you believe that we're all the same. The world thinks that, whether we're a business owner, entrepreneurs, business leaders in that space. And so the idea of hearing this perspective of being grounded within yourself helps you show up in this community, as this Black professional. But then the other part was like, it's okay that I'm the only person. I'm okay. Then that just means that, you know what, I need to make it and build it. And I think that's important too, and making sure that people understand that from this D&I space. And you said something that we're going to ask you this, because we ask every guest, and you just said it. And I was like, oh my gosh, she said it and she shared, but I want to ask you, what brings you joy?
Ooh, what brings me joy? This is good. What brings me joy? I feel like it's a hybrid of things. It depends on how I'm feeling, right? And so it's okay to answer it this way because I want to be able to say one button up answer, but I don't have one button up answer. Sometimes what brings me joy is binge watching Netflix and eating chocolate cake, or not chocolate cake. It could be like birthday cake, or putting my feet in the grass and running through the grass at this local park. It could also be just taking a good old fashioned nap in the middle of the day. And sometimes that's something that makes me feel really guilty, but doing it without guilt brings me joy.
And Mecca, you just said something, and that is me. Like, I was not a person, I'm a much better person, but I couldn't sleep in the daytime because I felt guilty. But the fact that you said it and it brings you joy, I struggle because there was times where I'm like, why am I sleeping in the middle of the day? And I remember Mecca, and this was several years ago, but it's probably been a few years. And I remember saying, I'm sleeping in the day. Oh my gosh, this is lazy. Like, why am I so lazy? And I didn't watch TV or binge watch until COVID. So that's my full disclosure, which was horrible. But that was also, I didn't know how to sit still. So that's another issue that I went through. But taking a nap in the middle of the day made me feel like I should be out. I mean, the world is going on. And the fact that you bring that up as it brings you joy, just to me, I melt. Like literally my whole body melted when you said that.
Oh,
It really did, because I'm going to listen, because I always listen to our episodes, even when I am out and doing things around and running errands, because to me, the guests get to inspire me. And this is going to be a reminder that I can take that nap. It's okay to take the nap. Doesn't mean anything. And I think that that's important. So thank you so much for saying that. And what brings you joy? I'm just over here clapping, because that right there I'm just sitting with myself. Stop. So now I'm going to hear your voice, Mecca. When I say I need a nap, I'm going to hear your voice. I'm going to hear your voice. And that's going to bring me joy for real. So Mecca, I've just enjoyed this interview. Please share with our listeners your social handles, your website, how can they get in contact with you,
Yes.
etc., so that we can make sure that people are able to gain clarity.
So my sound meditation studio is Elevated Meditation Studio. My business is Mecca Elevated. So it's meccaelevated.com. And on Instagram, it's Mecca underscore elevated as well. And Facebook, it's Elevated Meditation Studio. So you can just type that in. That's a clear way of being able to like get in contact and visit my website to see I have like small group sessions at the studio, one-on-one sessions, as well as corporate offerings as well.
Okay, and I think you said you're gonna have a special offering really soon.
Yes.
Do you want
Yes.
to share just a little bit of that?
Yeah. So one thing that I noticed is that when I would work with my one-on-one clients, we would go through multiple sessions to work on something very specific instead of just like having a one-on-one off client coming in to work on something very specific. And that very specific thing could be you're either transitioning through different parts of your life. And when I say that, that could be from going single to being married, going from one position with your job to going to a leadership position. And maybe you may have that imposter syndrome as you're going up, or going through a divorce, or you really want to increase your intuition, or you're really looking to like build your confidence. And so sometimes when people come and talk to, we have a conversation before our one-on-one, and the thing that they think the issue is, it's not necessarily that thing. It's more of a little underlying. So we just talk about it a little bit, and then we create a sound plan to like help release that. And so over a course of 4 to 5 sessions, I work with one-on-one individuals to help bring a desired outcome that they would like to have.
And Mecca, I know we're wrapping up, and people, I just want to say this episode, I don't know about you, but it just brought me some joy because she just told me I don't have to feel guilty for taking a nap in the middle of the day. So if you ever feel the way that I feel, please just let me know because I thought it was just me. And when she said it, I just was like, oh my gosh, I thought it was me. But Mecca, the other thing I wanted to ask you is that for those individuals, for them, think about the audience of people that's, oh my gosh, I've never done anything like this. This is so like, oh my gosh, they're coming with that level of anxiety, but they have anxiety because, of course, now we all have increased levels of anxiety coming off of COVID and watching people literally die right before our eyes. And so, how do you help or coach folks that have never, maybe they've done coaching, maybe, and probably have never done any level of therapy? Maybe they have. How do you introduce them to this?
I would say whenever I get new clients in that have never had a sound meditation, maybe they saw something on social or their friend told them about a great experience they had. That's like the perfect way of saying, so I'm not like I'm not a doctor and I'm not a psychiatrist. I just feel like I know stuff just like everybody else. Once you clear, you become knowledgeable. So I just feel like when someone comes in and they've never had this before and they're kind of having anxiety about what it is, if it's a one-on-one or a group class, I introduce myself. I give them the very layman's terms of what to expect and what to do during sound meditation. It's one of those things that there's no performance from them. There's no action needed, which is sometimes hard for people to grasp because we're so used to doing. So just really understand that this is your one time to just be with, to do nothing and just receive the sounds. I can explain all the things up front, but you'll understand really clearly once you're going through the process. So just being able to explain what the sound does, going through your body and your brain waves to really help you drop into a meditative state pretty quickly, knowing that there's no action that you have to do. And also there's no wrong or right way of doing this. Sometimes people may fall asleep on their first time. That's okay. Do whatever your body needs to do. The first thing I do is try to just really get them to understand that there's no wrong or right way to this and that there's no expectation from them and no performance needed at all. I think those are the pillars of just being able to let your guard down a little bit and then be like, okay, this is cool. I'm open, because just coming in, having an open heart and being open to this experience is the biggest thing. So just having them understand that I'm here just to support them on whatever it is that they want to do. We're going through sound. You want to chat up about something, we can chat it up during a session. If there's an area within their chakra system that I see that really needs some attending to, then I'll bring some sound to that area. So it's one of those, there's no one size fits all type of thing. Once someone's in the studio and we're face to face, then we can discuss what needs to be done. But the anxiety level, I think, decreases once you realize that there's no real action for you. The biggest action was booking and paying for the session and showing up.
I love that. I truly love it because when the first time I did it, Mecca, I did it outside and I just felt so relaxed, but it wasn't relaxed in the sense of going to the spa. It was like,
It's like a drugless high.
yes, that's exactly. And it was like when I was walking back to my car in the city park of Michigan, like some would be like, girl, it's rough. I never felt like it was rough. When I showed up, I probably did. But when I left, I felt like I literally was like, I'm outside in a safari. I just kept that.
That's a good example, Larvetta. Like that right there is the sweet spot, what you just said.
And I'm saying magical in a sense of it was like heaviness was gone for that minute. And I think as professionals, we walk with it, we come in with it, we're guarded with it. And then it was like, oh, it's gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was it. When I say loved you, Mecca, on this, I am over here like
Aww.
overjoyed. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Mecca. And I just want to say to our listeners, I know that we have listeners all across the country, but my Chicago listeners, definitely check out her studio. If not, she does one-on-one. So it's not something for those that live in other parts of the world. But if you are in the
virtual,
you do virtual, right? So if you
Yep.
are virtual, she does it. But if you are in Chicago and check out Mecca Elevated Meditation Studio, maybe that's something that you need to just add to your Christmas list or something for the holidays. And oftentimes as professionals, people want to give us something. Maybe this is that thing that you give to yourself that celebrates yourself so that you can gain clarity for 2023, or as Mecca said, as you're transitioning, and we all are, I think, always living through transitions, through death, through divorce, through debt, whatever it may be. So thank you so much, Mecca, for just being an amazing guest on Black Businesses Matter. Thank you all for listening and tuning in to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. See you soon. Thank you for joining us this week on Black Businesses Matter podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen so you will never miss a show. You can also follow us on social media at the L3 Agency and at Larvetta Speaks. If you love the show, leave a rating so that we can continue to bring you impactful episodes. You can also take the pledge and order our merch at our website at thell3agency.com. THEL3agency.com. Thanks for listening and see you next week.